Hey hackers, Blue Cosmo from CCS here, and welcome to the introduction to Python3 course. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this video is going to be pretty boring, only because it's the first video, so we had to get everything set up, we got to get everything ready for the Python3 course, but I'm going to try to, keep the energy up, keep it as entertaining as I can be, right? So, or as it can be. So this is the introduction to Python3 course. This is the first course that Cosmodium CS is releasing, and if you are watching this on YouTube, that's all good and stuff, but I do suggest heading over to the website and taking this course over there, because actually, let me show you my screen. It's organized a little bit better, right? So you can see each module right here in each of these individual boxes. Plus, if you take it through the website, it's still free on the website, but if you do want to enroll into the course officially, for a one-time purchase of $15, you will get a certificate once you finish the course. And it's only $15, so if you want to try it, do that, feel free. If not, the course is still free. All the quizzes and stuff are still free, so it doesn't really matter either decision you choose to make. So I'm gonna actually go over the interface real quick. So this is the little enrollment box. So if you finish the course and you're like, you know what, I want that certificate, come back up here, hit that enroll button, and then you can get your certificate because you already finished the course. This little box right here tells you what module you currently are on, or you finished really. So you can ignore this first number, but this second number right here is what module you are on, and this number right here is what section you're on. So module 0, section 0 is what we're on, right, basically. So each of these boxes, again, are a module, and they have a cool little picture, kind of helping you get an idea of what each one covers. And then here's the title. So module 0, installation and setup. This is what we're doing. And then this is the description. Now, I do suggest reading the description because it will help you understand what we're going to be talking about in the course and kind of just give you a quick overview of what we're going to be doing. This is how the difficulty of the course right here. So this is easy, this is like medium. The only hard one I think is on this course is the last one, object-oriented programming. But everything else is easy or medium. So let's get into the installation. I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible and as unboring as possible, because again, this is the most boring module because we had to get everything ready for actually being able to write Python code and stuff. So this at the top is the title of the course, or not the title of the course, the title of the section you're on, or the module you're on. It'll tell you how many sections there are in the module, how long the module is, and the difficulty of the module. And this is the overview. So it'll basically show all the sections that we're going to cover. When you first click on the course, kind of just read through that. Then this is going to be the actual lesson. And then at the bottom is the practice, right? So at the end of each lesson right here, we're going to be doing a practice, because this course doesn't have homework, but it does have practices that you can do with me if you want to, or you can do it by yourself. So at the end of each lesson, I'll be like, all right, so it's time for the practice. If you want to try to do the practice by yourself, go ahead. But if you aren't confident in yourself, or if you are having too many issues doing the practice yourself, then you can watch it with me doing the practice, right? So I'm going to be doing the practice, and you guys can follow along, write the code with me, and all that. Now, if you don't want to do that, then the practice at the bottom is just the description of the practice that I'm going to be doing at the end of the course, if you don't want to follow along with me. Now, how do we do these practices? How do I get these notes or these courses or whatever? This button right here, course overview, will take you to the course overview. All right. So this is on GitHub. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. It's not important to the course. But so each readme.md file is the overview. So for this readme.md file is the course overview, because it gives you an overview of the whole course, right? This right here is this is the same thing that you saw right here. So you don't really need to worry about this section. It kind of just tells you what each module is. So module 2 is booleans and conditionals, module 3 is loops and iteration, and etc. So if you're trying to do the practice, or if you want access to the code that I'm doing, or if you want any of the projects that I made in the video and you weren't able to make them yourselves, go to your specific module. So we're module 0, so you can click on module 0. But if you were like module 7, you could click module 7 and all your resources for module 7 will be right there. So we're module 0, so we can click module 0. And the only thing here is the README file. And this is just the overview. This is practically my script, basically. So when we go into module 1, this is basically everything I'm gonna be covering. So if you got lost on something about like strings and output, you're like, I don't remember how to do that, you can just come here and I'll show you all the code segments, everything I talk about, everything I do is in this document. So you don't even have to take notes, but I do suggest you do, so that way you can actually learn the language and memorize it. Also, in practically every module except for module 0, there'll be a little practice folder right here. So you can click on that folder. There'll be a little file labeled .py. And then this is the practice that we do in the course. So if you want the code to the practice that we do, you can just, take this or download it or whatever. And if you don't, then you don't have to worry about it. So once you finish the practice or whatever, there is a quiz button. And this quiz is where you can quiz yourself and see where you are in that module. So first of all, the quiz is not connected to your account. So you can take the quizzes as many times as you want, see where you are. And if you don't pass the quiz, I don't suggest moving on to the next module. And through that, you can also mark whatever module you've completed. So we finished module 0, so you can mark it as completed. So if you don't want to install Python on your computer for whatever reason, so if you don't want to, have to download it or whatever, there is an online option called Replit. This again is everything that's linked in the course overview. So if you want the link, go to your course overview. I suggest having the course overview open in a tab. And I also suggest you have the lesson open up in the tab as well. So that way you can split everything apart easily and take notes easily. But you would just go into module 0, and right here is the link to the website, section 1, and there's the link. You would make your account and whatever. It's going to ask you like a bunch of random questions, and then it's going to help show you how to make a project. So once you finish the installation process, you can just click on your little profile person right here to take you to the home page. Then you will go onto My Repels. So once you go to your My Repels, let's make a new folder. And you can call it literally whatever you want as long as you know it's for this course, right? So I'm gonna call it IP3 for Introduction to Python 3, but you can call it Hamburger, you can call it Python 3 Practices, you can call it whatever you want. And then you can hit Create. And then in this folder is where you can save all of your projects. So in order to make a project, I'm sure they showed you how to do this when you made your account, but in order to make a project, you would just hit New Repel. You would choose the language Python, and then we'll call this module 0. And now we have this interface. Now, just know, so if you're not going to install Python on your computer, although I suggest you do if you want to get into the Python world and the computer science world, it's something you should install on your computer. But if this is something you're just having fun with, you just want to learn Python, then go ahead and just use this online interface. Now you can skip to section 4 now if you're not going to install Python. Otherwise, I'm going to show you guys how to install Python. This is section 2, installing Python on Windows and Mac, and technically Linux if you want to. So let's hit download Python 3.95 and save the file. Again, it's linked in the course overview. So once you have it installed, you can open up your file explorer. You will go to your downloads, and right here will be your Python 3.9 file. So you can double click this. Yours won't look like this because I already have Python 3 installed, but it's going to ask you if you want to install Python. You would just follow through with this and install Python. Now, if you are on Linux, you would open up your terminal. I have a Kali subsystem here. And you would run this command: sudo apt-get install Python3, and there's a little hyphen in between the apt and get. You just hit enter, and you can type in your password. And once you type in your password, you hit enter, and you have Python installed. Python can be written in two different ways, right? There's the Python shell, and there's the Python. There's like a text editor or an IDE. And IDE stands for Integrated Developer Environment. Don't worry about IDEs. We're not going to be using IDEs because you guys are probably beginners. So let's go back to the first option, right? The Python shell. Now, if you're on Repellent, you can write Python code directly in here. So in Python, you can do math equations directly into a Python console. I'll just do 1 + 1, and it will output 2. That's Python code, right? So basically, you can actually write Python on this console. Now, if you installed Python on your computer, you should have in your P section of your start menu, you should see a Python 3.9 app. And it has the Python logo and a little black box behind it. You would click that, and this is your Python shell. If you're on Linux, by the way, you can simply type in Python3 and get access to the Python module. To exit, you would just hit Control-Z and then enter, or you can also hit, you can type in exit, and it will exit. So the module is good, but it's not good for making programs because you can't save it to a file. You can't, write a bunch of lines and run it as one thing. It just runs each line of syntax after you write it. So as soon as you write it, you hit enter, it just runs it. So this is good for like teaching or testing or tutorials or light programming, but it's not good if you want to make like an app or some sort of program like we're going to be doing throughout the course. So there's an option. The other option we have is the text editor. You can write stuff here and you can run it. Now it's not going to run because it's going to be a syntax error because this isn't Python syntax. This is just random text. Once I show you guys how to write Python code, you can just write it out here. You can hit run and it will run it here. Now nothing's going to output because there's nothing in the file. On Windows, you can head over to your start menu where we install Python and go click on this idle application right here. Now this idle application is basically the text editor. Yours may not look like this, but just click on the idle. I know it looks exactly the same as the other Python application that it came with, the module docs. Make sure you click on idle, I-D-L-E, all right? Now, the first thing you want to do is going to hit options and configure idle. Go to general, and then make sure that open edit window is selected. Now, if you want yours to be dark like mine, you can also go to highlights, select a built-in theme, and then yours will be classic, I think. Yeah, yours will probably look like this, but you can choose dark if you want to and hit apply to apply it. And my text is going to be really big so that way you guys can see it. So it's gonna be like a 29 probably. But if you guys, you guys don't need to make your text as big as mine. So just hit apply, then hit OK, and now it's set up, okay? So now we can also type in, random code and stuff. Let's make a folder, which is also called a directory, to save all of our Python projects to. So I'm gonna go to my code directory because I have a code directory for all of my coding projects. So let's make a new new folder, I'm sorry. Let's make a new folder and we'll call this IP3. Now again, you can call it whatever you want, as long as you know it's just for this course. Now, if you are on Linux, or if you don't have the Python idle application, you can use your default text editor. Like I mentioned, Windows default text editor is Notepad. Mac OS, the default text editor is TextEdit. And for Linux, the default text editor is, well, actually it varies for whatever operation or whatever distro you're using. Just search up what your default text editor is, and you can run your Python code on there. So when it comes to running Python, which is now section 5, Python files use the extension .py or .py. The same way text files use .txt, the same way Microsoft Word files would use .docs, Python uses .py. Just hit Control S on our Python idle, or you can also hit File and then Save As or Save. And let's go to our IP3 folder, and we'll just call this module 0.py. Hit Save, and now we can actually save our Python code. So if we make a program to, I don't know, ask a user for their name, they input their name, and then it will display their name for them. You can now save that and show it to your friends, show it to your family, or send it to other people, because it's an actual file. On the Python module, you can't save the code, you can't backspace, you can't edit the code. It's just you write a line and it will run it. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is in the course overview. Let's go to our module. At the bottom here, I have linked a bunch of random resources that you could use throughout this course. So if you ever get lost, if you ever get stuck, it's all linked right here. If you need the Python documentation, some third-party resources, or if you have any questions for me, right here. So those are some resources for you to use. All right, guys, so that's it for this module. I know it was really boring and it was probably killing you, but again, this is the boring, you got to do the boring stuff in order. Is that the quote? I think it's the quote. You gotta do the boring stuff to enjoy the fun stuff, right? This next module is gonna be a lot of fun because we're gonna be learning how to actually make programs and stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy that, and hopefully you guys enjoy the course. So I'll see you guys in the next module. So stay happy, stay positive, and as always, happy hacking.